Good morning, everybody. How you doing? It's time for Living Low Sodium with Mary Schepp today. And we're excited because we are what we eat. And of course, the show is brought to you and brought to all of us by Reeses Barkery and Pawtique. ReesesBarkery.com, 815-363-7297. Again, that's 815-363-7297, where you can find all the nibbles, kibbles, and bits for your dogs, your cats, and some other animals, I suppose, too. We got rabbits at home and guinea pigs, even a rat. In fact, I was feeding the rat one of the treats from Reese's this morning. So there you go. And enough about Reese's and rats. Good morning, Mary. How you doing?
Good morning. I am giggling at how you played our tune in today. I'm not going to lie.
Well, when
gotta do what you gotta do.
Because we're a professional station and we're growing. We're doing remarkably better and better, and you get new equipment, and when you start using it before you actually know how to use it,
we make it work.
We figure it out.
Always making it work.
So there we are.
Oh, but you totally are what you eat, and I'm gonna have a
This morning I am a cup of coffee.
That's
all I've had today.
I'm not gonna lie, I had a blueberry muffin, which sounds healthy, but when it's from Starbucks, it's not healthy.
Probably not. Sounds tasty.
But it was tasty because it's loaded with sodium and coated in large crystal sugar. So it's tasty as all hell, but it is. And also, it's funny because I was giggling last night when I was making my notes for the show today. Because you really are what you eat. And I start laughing because the last post of food that I did, and you'll love this.
Yeah.
Chili tots.
Actually, I have had those. I love chili cheese tots, man. Absolutely.
So on one hand, I look like quite the hypocrite because I'm doing a show about what, you are what you eat, and you should eat better and eat healthier and eat less sodium. And the last picture that you look at on my page was a load of chili with onions and a little sprinkle of cheese on top of some tater tots. That being said, the tater tots I find the lower sodium option, so they're not as high. And yes, you can find low sodium tater tots. And for those of you that didn't realize it, that yes, tater tots do have salt in them. They have a lot of salt in them. They should just be potatoes, but they are not just potatoes. They are potatoes and salt, shredded and then packed in a little tater tot form, which is absolutely delicious.
Yes.
Why a potato is so much more delicious as a potato in the form of a tot.
Don't know.
Even French fries.
I actually had tots last night.
Right. We have them all. Once I found some lower sodium ones, they're always in our freezer.
We had tots and chicken strips and some form of vegetable. I'm trying to remember what it was.
You're just proud of the fact that you inhaled a vegetable.
I am.
It went down the right pipe in your belly, and you consumed vegetables, and that's all that matters.
I've been consuming them very frequently these days.
It's good for you.
Yeah. So, hey, look here. It's Mbanwi over in Cameroon. Says, good morning. I should be the first person to send my greeting over there.
Oh, thank you.
You should be.
So you are what you eat. Now, this is funny because I pulled this little excerpt, and I wish I could speak French. In all honesty, that's always been a wish of mine, that I could speak other languages. I can understand a lot of them very well. Because I never took the time to force myself, I guess, or to practice. I don't speak any of them very well. But you are what you eat has come into the English language by the author of this wrote quite a meandering route, which I think was funny. So a French guy wrote in Meditations in Gastronomy that essentially it translates to tell me what you eat and I will tell you what you are. And then subsequently Ludwig something or other wrote an essay from that.
Ludwig. Oh, Luddy.
Spiritualism and materialism. And it translated to man is what he eats. So throughout time, all based on this one gastronomy journal written in 1826.
Wow.
Right? See, this is what's funny to me is they've been studying medicine and all this stuff for hundreds of years, but the history of how food affects your body and studying food is only about 100 years old. So the actual phrase didn't emerge until like the 1920s or 30s when a nutritionist who was a strong believer in the idea that food controls health developed the catabolic diet, another diet to add to our repertoire of diets that I can't stand. The view gained some adherents at the time, and the earliest known printed example is from an advert for beef in 1923. So I think it's funny that an advertisement of beef was saying you are what you eat, when subsequently we found out that too much beef and the saturated fats and so on and so forth is inherently bad for you. So it doesn't mean it tastes bad or is overall bad for you, just too much of it is bad.
Too much yeah, I suppose too much of anything is.
Well, that's the thing. You can have sugar, you can have beef, you can have ham, you can have whatever you want. Just you can't have ice cream 7 days a week for each meal because it's going to cause some serious problems. Yeah. So, but there is so much truth behind you are what you eat. So back to my tots. And they were amazing, by the way. If you've never experienced chili tots in your life, you should make that a thing in your life. I'm just letting you guys know that.
I actually had turkey chili cheese dogs the other day too. Wow.
I mean, did your wife make the turkey chili?
Yes.
Oh, see, that's probably why it was better, because I'm not a big fan of ground turkey.
I'm not either, but when,
add the good stuff to it, it's
beef
better.
Is not an option, then I'm happy to get chili in pretty much any form. So,
but that's the thing is, so the chili, so even though it's chili tots and the sound of it sounds like it's going to be a horribly unhealthy dish, that particular chili, other than the black beans that were canned, low sodium black beans, the rest of it literally was bought from the farmer's market that morning, including the beef. I got the ground beef from Homestead Farms, and all of the green peppers and onions and everything else that I put in my chili. Oh, no, there was a can of San Marzano tomatoes. Those are from Italy, so those couldn't have come from the farmer's market. Cento, Cento, San Marzano tomatoes, not San Marzano style tomatoes, because those are just plum tomatoes from here in the States trying to cross and pretend like they're San Marzano tomatoes. That's like trying to pretend that you're a certain kind of wine when you're not. It has to be grown in a certain region for that terroir, or it's not the same. It's just not.
No.
Same with tequila. It has to be grown in a certain spot. Otherwise, it can't be called tequila. So yeah, other than the tomatoes and the
I thought tequila was brewed.
Well, it's from the agave plant.
Oh,
and they grow in a specific region, so you can't make it from anything else. You just can't. If you make an alcohol substance that tastes like tequila,
it's not going to be tequila because it's not.
It's got to be. It's from a specific region by specific plants, and it's not much different than wines. You can't take tomatoes and call it a Merlot.
No,
you can make it taste as close as you want by however means you make.
I wonder if there's ever been such a thing as fermented tomato juice.
Oh, I'm sure. If you can make dandelion wine and rose wine, I'm sure you could make some sort of alcoholic substance out of.
I mean, I wouldn't want to try it.
I bet it would be good.
You think it would?
I know dandelion wine is fabulous. So is rose wine.
Rose wine? I don't know that I've ever had rose wine.
So there was a guy. My mom's side of the family is from Michigan. And there was a guy up there, a friend of the family. His name was Ferd. I'm assuming it was short for Ferdinand. Mm-hmm. And when I was young, he was like 90. Okay. So I'd only ever known him as an older gentleman. He was a bit of a hoarder. His house was always packed. There was like little tunnels to get through things.
Hoarder.
Yeah.
Okay.
hoarder.
Hoarder. Yeah.
But he made his own wine, and he had downstairs all of these casks of different, and he would go on. He was so passionate about it. He would go on and on and on and on and on and on for hours and hours and hours. But he'd have dozens of different kinds of wines going at any time. So anything he could find, like dandelion wine, he would, if someone said you can make a wine out of it, he would try it. If he saw, like if you said something, oh, I wonder if anybody fermented tomatoes. He'd be like, I'm going to go home tonight and ferment some tomatoes. And they all tasted amazing. So we used to sample wines all the time.
Oh, that's nice.
Contributing to the delinquency of minors, because I was not 21 at the time.
Well, he's probably dead now if he was 90 when you were a kid. So
yeah, I guarantee you he's probably long gone. But all of the ingredients came from the farmer's market. And I shared my chili. I always share. It's funny because I posted that I made chili tots. My neighbor who was driving home from a family vacation said, oh, that looks good. And when she got home, sends me a text message and says that her husband would like some chili. Can I come over and get some? So I met her in the street and gave her some chili.
Wow.
Because I mean, it's just me and Ben. So when I cook, I made a crock pot of chili. What am I going to do with all that but share it? So if you happen to be my neighbor, then lucky you get to reap the benefits of chili and cookies all the time.
That's funny though.
But I did share them with a good friend of mine. And the comments that I get from my food still to this day astound me. And he was laughing and he says, the thing that I love about your food is that I don't feel like ass after eating it. And it tastes good. I was like, thanks.
I mean, I laugh because I understand that.
Right. He's like, it's really good, but I don't feel like I want to die afterwards. He's like, why does Hormel chili have to be so easy and good? I'm like, why do you eat that shit? Like, I don't understand that. It's like dog food in a can.
Chili in a can does, when you open the can.
I mean, there's a nostalgic nature of it, but it looks like dog food with too much water in it. It
smells like dog food and it looks like dog food. And yet, I eat it anyway.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I just, I thought it was
will
funny.
eat chili out of a can.
I obviously I don't anymore, but I just thought it was funny because he's like, it tastes amazing, but he's like, I'm not going to take the time to do that. And the funny thing is it didn't take a whole lot of time. I have one of those chopper things, like you can put the vegetable in it and chop it and do whatever. I don't use it because I've been cooking so long that I'm good with a knife. So it's just as easy for me to chop everything up as it is, because I hate washing those things.
Yeah.
That's the thing about gadgets.
Yeah.
That's
they don't
great.
Clean easily.
Like I can just chop a million onions or a million things and it's fantastic. And I love the concept of it. And I think it's amazing. And yes, they are dishwasher safe, but it's still a pain in the ass to clean.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just easier to chop it up and just clean the knife and I'm done. Like that. I don't have all those little crevices and holes where if you don't clean it right away or get it wet right away, then you get the little chunks of onion and crap and garbage that stick in there that make it nuts.
But I mean, what you said about that guy kind of leads into, you have a little sentence, two sentences here about Brillat, Savarin, and Feuerbach.
Right.
Which I kind of like. You should read that.
About where, what?
It says right here, because the guy said that he doesn't feel like ass after eating your thing, but it says neither Brillat, Savarin, or Feuerbach meant their quotations to be taken literally.
Right.
They were stating that the food one eats has a bearing on what one's state of mind and health is. So,
exactly.
And
that's so,
because you don't eat a food and literally become that food.
You don't become a cow or a potato or a
Twinkie.
Yeah, well, Twinkie. Well, maybe.
I mean, I suppose as far as perhaps having a creamy filling, I might resemble a Twinkie, but because my middle is round.
That's funny. But that's the thing is, so the question is based on what you eat. What are you? And like you said, are you a Twinkie? Are you, a grease ball? Are you loaded up on sugar, running around and then die, and then loaded up on sugar and then die?
Yeah.
Like, are you that up and down cycle? Are you, so when you start thinking about things, if you think about things that ail you or things with your body, brittle nails, thin hair, greasy skin, a few extra pounds, joint pain, gut rot, migraines, cramps, sleep issues, depression. And then there's the obvious ones, heart disease, liver disease, kidney disease, diabetes, gout.
Yeah.
All of those things, arthritis. And I'm not saying that food is always the answer. Life is never that easy. Things are never that easy. And there's never, if anybody can attest right now in the times that we live in, that the answers are never that easy. They're just not. It's never that simple. Everybody's different. Everybody's genetics are different. Your bloodlines are different. Your environment is different. Your stress levels are different. How you handle stress is different. Something as simple as, so the other day, one of my pet peeves is to be late. I can't be late. If I am late because life happens, it literally builds an anxiety in my chest that makes me want to scream and murder someone. And when somebody else is late, it's almost borderline unexcusable for me. Because if you can't leave this room until I walk in this room for whatever reason that we've stipulated, but you can't walk out. So if I'm going to walk through that door at 2:00, so you schedule something at 2:30, and I don't know, maybe you're meeting the Pope. Maybe you're right. Maybe you have the cure for cancer waiting for you downstairs in the parking lot, and you need to get there at 2:30. And if you don't get it. I don't know what the importance of it is, but it's important to you. So if I show up late and you're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and your anxiety builds, and now I just ruined your day, my actions directly affected your life, and I could have changed that. Now I get that circumstances, car accidents, whatever, things are outside of your control. But when they are in your control, and a lot of times they are, that bothers me. So the other day, that was the thing, is somebody else was late, and it set my whole day in a different direction, because I started my day with that billowing anxiety in my chest that it bothered me, and it started making me angry. And anger is a wasted emotion. There's emotions. Everything has a purpose. Fear, all of these things, fight or flight, all of them, these feelings. Anger is wasted on nothingness. It very rarely serves any purpose whatsoever other than making your day worse. Because once you're angry or upset about something, then you're not focused. Your adrenaline is high. You're paying attention to different things, and it starts setting off the balance of your day. And it's the same with everything else. When you have this, how you handle stress could affect all of those other things. So even if your food balance is spot on, if you're the kind of person who something as simple as, a paper being out of place, those are lifelong lessons that take a lot of time and effort to reverse psychologically. So if your stressors are different, that's going to affect everything. So simply because you start eating vegetables doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to lose weight or feel better or whatever, have anti-inflammatory because you're eating anti-inflammatory foods. It's never that easy. There's so much more that goes along with it than just that.
Right.
But even though food isn't always the answer, many times food is the cause and subsequently the cure, or at least the aid to make things better. And I'm living, breathing proof of that every single day. I mean, even you knew that you shouldn't eat beef.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. And for many, many years, you did it anyway.
I did it anyway until it just became
right. So now you're backtracking, but you're making the choices. So it doesn't mean that you're like, okay, I'm going to become vegetarian and I'm going to do this and I'm going to give up everything that means happy to me. but I am going to stick some vegetables down my gullet.
Oh,
as much as humanly possible.
I ate an apple.
I love how excited you get. Like, oh my God, I ate a piece of fruit.
I had an apple twice this week.
That's fantastic.
I did. Well, it wasn't the same apple. I had an apple one day and an apple the next day.
I would hope it wasn't the same.
Well, because I said I had an apple twice this week. So, but it was not the same apple.
I don't think anybody thought you had the same apple twice.
But
oh my good God, you're hilarious.
But anyway.
But I digress.
It's Honeycrisp. It was good.
The Honeycrisp apples are so good. I like using Granny Smith apples in salads. It like gives a tart bite.
Aren't those the ones you're supposed to use in a pie as well?
Yeah, because they're firm and they hold up better to the baking process.
Yeah. We digress. Sorry. I was just excited about the apple.
The apples.
Plural apples.
Oh my God. I'm dying
2 apples this week.
Oh, I'm dying over here.
Although I didn't grab one for my lunch today.
Way to go.
I forgot.
Well, maybe the rat will eat it.
I have a pudding cup.
I don't miss pudding. I don't know why. I don't know. I
do have a chocolate pudding cup with some chicken strips in my
every once in a while I miss the nostalgia of things like that. Or I'll get like a craving for a Coke. Like, oh, a Sprite sounds good right now. And I take 2 sips of it and I literally feel like my teeth are going to fall out of my skull.
Sprite is sweet, isn't it?
And realize that I like the memory of this. I don't actually like it. And it's amazing how many foods I've discovered.
You should have a Fresca instead.
No.
I was once told that I look like a fellow who would give you a Fresca at a barbecue.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
I took it as one because I thought, well, that's refreshing.
That's
hopefully you like Fresca.
I was going to say that's an interesting.
Anyway,
speaking of digressions, okay, I gotta share this one just because I thought it was absolutely hilarious. So I'm on my way. I had to help out a sister store recently. So, good morning, Kiki. So I had to help a sister store out. So I stop at a Starbucks that I normally don't stop at. It's still within my town or whatever, but it's just on the other side of town. So I'm standing there waiting for my turn to tell them that I just want a plain latte because I'm very boring, just like my coffee, strong. And the guy in front of me, he's dressed well enough, like business casual. Mm-hmm. From behind, it looked like his hair was combed and everything. So he gets up there and it's your normal transgression of comments. The lady looks, she says, how you doing this morning? She's like, oh, pretty good. And her, no joke. And I quote, her response, you sure?
Okay. You sure about that?
So the guy, he's fumbling with his wallet or whatever, trying to pull out his phone for his app and everything. And he stops and he's like, yeah, no, I think I'm pretty good. She's like, oh, I don't know. Your hair is all a little mussed up. I just thought maybe you were having a rough morning.
Wow. Okay. Thanks, Miss Fashionista Barista.
Oh my God.
Good Lord.
It was everything I had, like in my every ounce of willpower that I had to not gut laugh and like peek around him and be like, what the shit was that?
See, you had this. I would have been completely.
Like he's
hey, turn around. Let's take a look at you.
He's combing the top of his hair down, and he's just kind of like, really? He's like, I don't, and he's trying to fix his hair or whatever. So after he orders what he orders, and he's down waiting on the other end of the counter, so I order my latte. We're both standing there waiting. Every chance he got, he's like, you'd see him looking over in the door to be like, what is she seeing? Trying to check out his hair. Cause apparently he thought he looked fine. I don't know what she was looking at and thought he all looked disheveled because he looked fine to me, but I was about to die. Like why, who would ever, even if he looked like garbage, even if he looked like he rolled off a street corner, who the hell goes, you sure you're okay to a perfect stranger? I was dying.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. That's odd. I have a completely even more off topic question. And I'm just wondering for Kiki, have you ever seen the anime Kiki's Delivery Service? And that's just because the name association there.
I would doubt it.
So, because one of my sons, when he was little, loved that show. It's a movie, Kiki's Delivery Service. It just made me think of that. But that's the only other place I've ever seen the name.
That's funny.
So,
well, it's
but anyway,
it's,
total.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, holy cow. Perhaps we should get back to the
So,
diabetes and
it's funny.
kidney disease and
Well, let's go
food.
down to the somber topics again.
Oh, look
But-
here. She has heard of it.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, she should watch it. There you go.
So it is actually funny that the Starbucks digression brings me to a thought I wanted to bring up today, and that's to not judge based on others' standards. So everybody judges themselves. You're probably your worst critic, but you need to judge yourself on your own standards.
Yeah.
So for instance, in my store, I tell my crew all the time, because it's all the time we have to help out a sister store for whatever reason. Someone goes on vacation, someone gets hurt, someone gets sick. It just happens. We have a full staff, albeit a really, really tiny one, because you can't hire anybody to save your life right now.
Right.
Totally different show.
Yeah.
But technically we have a full staff. I have a full leadership staff, and I have an amazing team. So much so that either myself or somebody else can very easily go to a sister store, pick up and help them out, and, bridge the gap. But I always tell them that and I'm not saying this to discredit or bash any of my sister stores by any means, but everybody runs their places different. Everybody runs their businesses different. You can walk into 2 different bakeries and they're going to be ran completely different. You can't judge yourself based on somebody else's standards or expectations. There's always that normal expectation of things. You show up on time, you take a shower before you go to work, you wear your uniform, you do there's a minimum standard of expectation. I get that.
Yeah.
But what you set your bar at is your bar. You can't base it on somebody else's bar. If somebody else wants to be a fitness trainer and be cut and ripped and do what I read an article the other day. People are fast. The Rock, the big guy, the Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson. Yeah.
People are fascinated with the fact that he's so cut but doesn't have a 6-pack. So you can look it up. One of the most searched things is, why does The Rock not have a 6-pack?
Maybe because he eats a little bit more and doesn't do as many sit-ups. I have no idea.
He definitely has the muscular structure, but the reason he doesn't have a 6-pack is he had a wrestling accident back in his wrestling days that tore the crap out of his gut and got hernias and all this stuff. So none of his muscles are where they're supposed to be. So they're toned and they're fit, but they don't look like that standard that you would think that so again, people are judging based on another standard, and you have to do that in your life as well. Because once you hit 40, I don't care if you're a guy or a girl, when you hit 40, things change. Your hormones change, your metabolism changes, everything changes. So what you could do when you were younger, you can't do now. Just because you can still run a marathon in your 40s doesn't necessarily, like my brother-in-law is one of the most physically fit people I've seen. But no matter what, your skin's going to sag, you're going to get wrinkles, you're going to, you age. It just happens. You can't stay this clean, crisp, cut, whatever for the rest of your life. Even with plastic surgery, because then you just look like a stretched piece of plastic over it.
You look permanently surprised.
Right.
I'm surprised to be here.
But you can't,
everywhere you go.
You can't judge yourself based on other people's standards. And I think all too often that's exactly what we do. You're judging yourself by somebody else's health standards and what it is to be healthy. And more often than not, that ticket to being healthy is to give up everything that actually makes you healthy. Because truth be told, your mental health holds more weight than just about anything else. Because I don't care how good you eat,
agree.
How much you exercise, what you do. There's a million things that I could have that are stressors in my life. There is by no means that between my health, advanced cirrhosis, which is now not as advanced because of how I care for myself, the lesion on my spine, I got transverse myelitis. And then, of course, I got all the luxuries of being female and over 40. So you start stepping into hormone issues and premenopause and all of these other things that, being a girl gets the luxuries of being. And I love my husband. I love the man since I was 12, but that doesn't mean our marriage is perfect. And if anybody says their marriage is perfect, they're flat out freaking lying. I'm sorry. You can love somebody beyond belief. It doesn't mean that you need to like them every day.
No.
The love doesn't go away. But you are perfectly allowed to not like them for a day or two.
Here's the thing. And to right along with that, I love my wife to death. I absolutely do. I am not in any way, shape, or form an animal person.
Right.
But because I love my wife.
She is.
I live with freaking 800 damn animals. Don't like them at all.
And it's always a two-way street.
Don't like that they're there.
It's always both ways, you know? So there's a million things that you can be a stressor for, but I'm genuinely happy in my life. I love my house. I love my husband. I love my job. I love my friends, my support group. I have a very drama-free life, thankfully, to the fact that I learned how much drama stressed me out and made me sick. So I got rid of it. Doesn't mean it was easy, because a lot of times drama comes from people that you think are really close to you. And it's funny because after I got sick, to find out how many people weren't really my friends was insane. And it was a little heartbreaking. But at the same time, I am now surrounded with people who are genuinely my friends and have my concerns at heart as I do them.
That's cool.
So when you start down a path of being healthier, and it's a diet, and I get it. I'm on a diet. I watch certain things, and yes, by the nature of definition of the word, it is a diet. But when you start saying, I'm going to do the keto diet because my friend lost 20 pounds and I want to lose 20 pounds because I want to look like them, because I'm judging myself based on somebody else's standards versus saying I can look in a mirror and be okay with myself. That path usually means you got to cut out everything that you want. And you're miserable.
It does. And like,
you can't have ice cream. You can't have pizza. The only pizza you can have is a stupid little cardboard thing that we put in a box and tell you that it's less than 300 calories.
Yeah. Some sauce on a cracker.
Right.
I mean,
so you're down this path. So mentally you're going, so the rest of my life is I get to eat garbage. I don't get to do anything. I don't get to have any fun. I can't go out to dinner with my friends. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't.
Yeah.
And ultimately, what does that do?
Just pisses you off.
Right. It ruins it makes you angry. It makes you bitter, and it makes you fail. And then the problem with those failures, especially when it comes to your health, is that teeter-totter nature is what starts to create insulin resistance and all of these other issues with your body, because for the better bulk of your life, your body doesn't know what the hell's going on. So it just starts storing stuff. So you get calcium deposits, you get arthritic, you get gut rot, you get diverticulitis, you get ulcers, you get all of these things from that mental anguish of teeter-tottering all over the place.
Yeah. And that's at this point in my life, because I've been through ulcers. The gouts have come to stay. They don't go away. They're related to arthritis. But
your cousins, the gouts.
Yeah, because arthritis cousins, the gouts.
Your uncle Arthur's right.
Yeah, but because of that, I'm actually not doing a diet.
Right.
All I'm doing now is eating stuff that doesn't hurt. I'm eating more vegetables. Actually, eating some fruits. Just changing the way I eat. And the other thing is I just don't eat anywhere near as much as I used to.
Right.
Like, today I've got some chicken strips and a pudding cup, where I used to get like in my lunch pack. Yeah, you get the little 4-pack pudding cups, and that was okay because they take 2 seconds to eat.
Right.
You go nom nom nom. Oh, I need another nom nom nom. Oh, ready for another. I would have the little 4-pack.
You can eat them when you're driving, like a little shot.
Yeah, you can.
Suck those things down.
Those right down.
Hey, when I lived in the city, I used to do all the time.
Those little pudding cups are not, but okay, if all you want is the flavor.
Right.
and you think about it, because that was for me. I really just want the flavor of it. I'm not eating the pudding cup to feel full. I just want the flavor. So, Sam.
Sam's our little Pomeranian. They got this. He's the most adorable thing ever. So it is. I mean, the world makes it really easy to fail. You are surrounded by corporate marketing geniuses that know exactly where to put product placement. They know exactly what colors to put on it, how big the font should be, what end cap it should be on, where it should be located in the store. And not only that, they pay big bucks to make sure that, yes, certain store managers have certain reign in where they can put things.
Yeah.
But they'll actually send scouts out to make sure that their product is where they pay to put it in. So if they walk into a grocery store and their Doritos aren't on the front of end cap number 6, not 7 or 8 or 12, if that layout of that store is this type of store, if it's not on that specific spot, because they know statistically and strategically that that's where they're going to get you to go, okay, I was really good through the entire grocery store and everything in my cart is really, really good and I'm being really good and I'm on this diet, I'm doing really well, gonna grab the ranch Doritos. I do it. I
love Doritos. So I like the super extra
taco salad with the Doritos.
Extra, and I just learned about that recently. Believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, not even know that was a thing.
Yep.
Now it is a thing.
That is
for
a very
me,
tasty thing.
Yeah, it is very tasty. But I love Doritos. And I actually like Doritos and dip.
Same. But that's the thing is they're well aware of what to do and where to put it so that you'll eat it.
But now a serving is no longer a bag.
No. And I love the fact that the labels still are kind of a joke to be had, but the fact that they're slowly starting to put on a label there's 2 columns on many products now. One is a serving size and one is the whole like soups. A lot of them now you'll see where it says one serving is 410 milligrams because they put the nice little heart on there and say it's heart healthy.
Right.
But people never realize that the decent size can of soup is 2 servings.
Yeah, no.
Nobody eats half a can of soup.
No.
I mean, yes, people do, but not very many people eat half a can of soup.
No, you look at a can of soup and you go, oh, can of soup, you pour it in a bowl. It fits in your bowl.
Right. And you're not going to recap half a can of soup.
No.
And I know that there are, and I'm going to get plenty of people who argue with me and say, well, I'm 82 years old. My stomach's this big. I get that.
That's a different thing.
But the vast majority of people do exactly like you and I do, is there's a whole can of soup. It goes in a bowl with some croutons and some cheese and some chopped onions, and that's your dinner. So now you went from 410 milligrams of sodium to 800 milligrams of sodium plus your croutons and your cheese. Yeah. So they started putting it to where the whole can. The same with like spray cans of butter. You don't think about that, and granted, if you use the whole can, it's still going to be negligible at best. But they do put real butter in there, which means there's a dairy product, which means it has sodium and nutrients. So when it's got zeros all the way down the nutritional label. Now here's the kicker on those. A serving is like 1/10 of a second spray.
What? How do you figure that out?
Right. You can't measure it by teaspoon or weight.
Okay, set your timer, Bob.
Right.
Oh, no, you went over.
My phone doesn't even do tenths of a second. Like you need to be a sprinter with a racing timer from an athletic store to be able to. Your fingers don't even move that fast.
No.
So.
My watch has a timer on it. I have no idea how to use it.
It's probably still going to be in seconds, not portions of seconds.
Yeah.
So. I hate that so much. And I mean, granted, you do learn a lot from your failures. That's fact. So I don't ever be discouraged by your failures. And there was a quote I read recently. I have no idea what it's from or if it's a real thing, but it stuck in my head. And it said, not all failures are meant to be a lesson. Some of them are just failures.
Yeah.
But it's still, there's there's so much to be had in that maybe even if it's just a failure, you do still learn that you shouldn't do it again. But that's the problem with all of these different diets and outside perceptions of who you're supposed to be. But then again, at the same time, when people look at me and say, well, I'm healthy, you're 100 pounds overweight. Because you feel healthy, you think you're healthy.
There's a difference between feeling good,
right,
and being healthy. And slinging my gut around Fiesta days for 14 days straight
taught you that you're doing better, but
you did that, but do you want to do this again next year? Yeah, not so much. Let's sling a little less weight around next year.
Right. But that's the thing is, and I'm not saying that people like body shaming someone for being heavy is just wrong. And everybody's built differently. So just because, and I've had quite a few friends growing up where as girls, their frame is square. They are never going to be an hourglass skinny girl. It's just not going to happen. Their frame is built to where they're always going to carry an extra 10 or 15 pounds. They're still healthy. But when people come up to me and they're literally 100 or 150 pounds overweight, they look good. They're all squishy fat. But that's not, I don't care who you are or what you say, it is not healthy. It's just not. And as you age, and when you're no longer 20 or 30 years old, to carry that kind of weight around, trust me, you're going to have problems. And it's going to be 10 times harder to lose it in your 50s or 60s than it is in your 30s. And now I'm not saying that you need to go from being 300 pounds to 110 pound model twig. But to drop down to a healthy range isn't as hard as
I would probably feel much better if I disappeared about 30, 40 pounds. I'm not keeping track of it. I don't have a scale.
Right.
I don't stand on one.
Right.
I'll just wait until, I see less of the
less round,
and feel better and fit into some shirts that I don't fit into anymore. And I'll be like, oh, hey, I'm feeling better here now.
That's the thing about, and that's what's so funny because people like you, and there's so much stigmata around, going from a size 12 to a size 10, you're probably going to be the same pant size for the rest of your life because all yours is just that gut fat. That's it.
Yeah. And
so you don't get that luxury of I dropped 6 tons. I dropped 7 pounds.
I can tell that I lose weight around my hips a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because I do. Goodness, excuse me. This dang coffee, I just inhaled the wrong way earlier this morning. And it's just not leaving.
Went down the wrong way.
Yeah. But at any rate, excuse me, I will go down a few waist sizes in pants, which is actually my hips. I wear my pants at my hips, not my waist. But I'll probably lose that down and I'll probably hit like a 36 or 34 by the time I'm a little more comfortable in my gut. It just is because right now I'm like a 38.
And everything that you're doing is exactly what you should be doing. A slight bit more exercise. And I'm not talking running marathons or weight training or gym.
No, Lord, no.
I'm walking around every once in a while. And eating
going
some
on
vegetables.
Walks with Mary Catherine and the new puppy and, in addition to the treadmill. So,
and some vegetables.
And vegetables and the fruit, apples.
But someone said something about, in my group recently about portion control was their problem. That's everybody's problem. That's my problem.
Oh yeah.
Like look at the picture
Something
of the,
tastes good.
the
you
chili
want more
tots.
of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have the same problem because when you eat, it takes energy to digest food. Regardless of how healthy you are, it takes energy to digest food. So when you consume a lot of it, that's why you get tired at Thanksgiving. Not tryptophan. The amount of tryptophan, you'd have to eat like 60 birds to get enough tryptophan to put you out.
Yeah.
It's the sheer quantity of food and the amount of energy that it takes your body to digest that causes you to be tired. So being that I have a compromised system that gets backed up and traffic jammed super easy because of my liver, I can't eat. If I eat lunch at work, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Because it just knocks me out for hours. So I eat all day long. I have almonds and cashews and grapes and fruit and bananas that I freaking despise, but I eat 2 of them every day anyway. And I eat all day. So it's funny because I've taken to try and reduce my portion control at night because I am over 40. So the stupid little things, like I've learned that my ice cream, I have to eat before 7:30 at night. I still eat my ice cream. I don't care. I'm going to have ice cream. I reduced how much ice cream I eat, so I eat a little bit less of it. But the problem is the sugar is an inflammatory. And since I have a hole in my spine, I am very sensitive to inflammatory things. So whether it's a stressor or anxiety or adrenaline rush or an actual food that I consume, that sugar, most people, you don't realize, I've said it a million times, you don't realize how bad you feel until you feel better. You don't realize how much that inflammatory nature happens to the core of your cellular structure inside your body. So when you have arthritis or gout or anything else, it's very quick when you eat something that it causes a stressor reaction in your body. So that ice cream, if I have that high level of sugar, when you go to bed, the world is quiet. So when the world is quiet, it listens to my spine and goes, holy crap, your body feels like shit. And for those of you that don't know what it feels like to be partially paralyzed and have nerve damage, when you're lying in bed and there's no sounds, no nothing, and you let the world of thoughts run through your brain and you're suddenly wondering why your rat was not eating a treat today and stupid thoughts. Well, when your legs are on fire and all of a sudden half your body goes numb for no reason, it's really hard not to be terrified that you're becoming paralyzed because you can't see what's going on in your spine. And I woke up one day and there was a hole in my back. So not physically a hole, but my immune system made a hole in my spine. So it's hard to not think of that. So that inflammatory nature of that sugar from the ice cream.
Yeah.
If I eat it and then go to bed, that's exactly what happens. I have nothing better to do than to listen how horribly bad that sugar is affecting my body. So I've changed my portions, changed when I eat it. I still get to have my ice cream. I just eat it a little earlier in the afternoon. And to watch my portion controls at dinner, I love grapes. Grapes are very filling for a very short period of time because they're nothing but water.
Yeah.
You ever have that? You'll eat a whole handful of grapes. You're like, oh, I feel full really quick. 2 seconds later, you're like, oh,
I've
I want
never
another
eaten
snack.
a whole handful of grapes. I eat like maybe 2 or 3 grapes, and then I'm done because they're grapes.
Right.
I'm not a fan of grapes.
See, but if you
They're
find
green.
I eat the purple ones. I like the sweet purple ones. The seedless
Yeah,
sweet
but they're
purple ones.
usually mushy.
Really? You're getting the wrong kind of grapes.
Yeah, I like, if I'm going to eat a grape, I want it to be a firm grape. And usually
You'll have to get some from the farmer's market because they're
usually
fantastic.
only the green grapes are like nice and firm. But
yeah, the ones that I had the other day, I got from the Harms stand at the farmer's market on Sunday in Cary Grove. But regardless of what it is, all fruit in general. So if you eat a handful of fruit, and that's always been the complaint, is that fruit is filling, but then I'm hungry again, which is true. However, if you eat a handful of fruit, like I'll leave it on the counter while I'm making dinner. So I'm literally snacking while I'm eating, which is slightly ironic and a little bit hilarious. My husband finds it funny. Like, are you literally snacking while you're making something? But the joy of that is that it is made to go on apple pie.
which is good. It's a good place
ice cream is made to go on apple pie. So, but if you eat that handful of grapes, because they're nothing but water and you will be hungry, but if you eat it right before you go to eat a big meal, you feel full for a very short period of time. So then when you sit down to eat, you eat less of your dinner, you eat a smaller portion of that high calorie content, which subsequently means you eat less. But now you feel sustained. And you feel like you had a dinner and you had a snack, and you also feel like you've been doing nothing but eating for 2 hours, because technically you kind of have. And subsequently you reduce your portion control. So doing something like that when you're making dinner, like if Mary Catherine's making dinner and you have a sliced up apple to eat and snack on while she's making dinner, you've just given your stomach something to fill up a little bit on, even though it's mostly water. So by the time it squishes that down and gets rid of the water, which absorbs really quickly, and on top of that, by adding that good carb, good fiber to whatever meal you're eating, it actually changes the acidic level in your stomach to help you digest the things better, to reduce your acid reflux. Because like with the steak, you're not supposed to have a potato. You're supposed to have broccoli. The difference in balance is the difference. If you ate just a steak or just broccoli, the reaction that happens in your gut to digest those things and create amino acids are on two different levels.
Yeah.
So the steak's going to give you heartburn. The broccoli is going to reduce it. So when you eat them at the same time, it balances out the acidic levels in your gut and makes it easier to digest those things. So all around, it actually is a really good idea to snack on a piece of fruit right before you eat dinner. It'll help you reduce the portion control, or lunch for that matter. It helps across the board. And the sugars in fruits are better than the other sugars. So instead of a diet, create a simple action plan. I'm sure as an HR guy, you can understand this one. Write down your goal.
Yeah.
Like physically write it down on paper. What is your goal? And be honest. Like, do you want to lose weight? Do you want to feel better? Like, what is your tangible goal? Do you want to reduce your blood pressure? Do you want to eat less salt? Do you want to eat less sugar? You need an actual, okay, I want to stay at 25 milligrams or 25 grams of sugar every day. Not, I just want to eat less of this. You need a tangible, achievable goal. That's why everybody says I want to lose 10 pounds, because it's a line in the sand that you can say, I've hit that line. And then know what you eat. You need to know what you're starting with. But, it's much like having employees. You can't say, I want to fix something if you don't know where the root cause of that problem is.
No, you can't.
So just by saying that I'm going to make this better, I'm going to increase my customer service scores. All right, well, what's the root cause of that problem? If you're going to say that you're going to lose 10 pounds, or you say you're going to eat less sugar, how do you know you're going to eat less sugar if you don't know where the sugar is coming from? It's the same with salt. The amount of times people are like, I didn't know salt was in garlic. It's in everything except for like rice grains.
Yeah.
Like, I think rice cakes, which are disgusting, why anybody would eat those is boggling to me.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a disc of styrofoam.
Right. I mean, if you want to put ketchup or mustard or peanut butter, or, I don't know, anything with flavor on it, I guess I would understand it, but you'd have to wrap it in like an entire brick of cheddar cheese for me to eat it.
The only rice cake I've ever had that I really, 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 really enjoy is a Rice Krispie treat.
Yeah, but then when you coat those with sugar and cinnamon and other stuffs.
Marshmallow and butter and... My wife, never mind. I'm not going to say that on the air. Never mind. Go ahead.
I can't wait to hear what's in the green room later. Start with a clean slate. And I always say that, not everybody's that kind of person, but in all honesty, to set yourself up for good success, I really think that at least the people that I've witnessed that have succeeded in what they're trying to do have started with a clean slate. They clean out their cupboards, they fast for a day or two, and they start with a clean slate. So it's not a gradual, I'm just going to not eat Doritos today, or I'm not going to eat this. It's a full-blown, and I did it. I full-blown said, okay, I'm going to fast for 24 hours. So I drank nothing but water for 24 hours. And then the next morning I was allowed eggs for breakfast, no bread, period. For like 3 weeks, I didn't have bread at all.
Wow. I say but that wasn't hard for me to do when I went on the no carb thing. Because
people are surprised at how easy that and I love bread. I'm not saying that I was like, I could take I love bread. I will eat when they put the bread on your table at the steakhouse.
You will eat
I'll eat the whole thing. And then I'll eat my steak and my potato. But I allowed it was all real food.
Yeah.
That was it. That was what I was allowed as real food. So I had eggs for breakfast. And after I fasted for a few weeks, I should say a light fast, more like an elimination diet. I did allow myself cheddar cheese because it's lactose free. Hard cheeses are lactose free. So even though it's a little higher in sodium, just a plain white cheddar is actually not horribly bad for you.
Yeah.
But I did. I lived on grilled chicken, grilled turkey, and mashed potatoes or baked potatoes. And slowly started adding foods in. So all the foods that I added, it just had to be real food, period. That's it.
Yeah.
That was the rule. So if we went out to dinner, if I looked at the menu, it had to be something that was real food. So if I got stuck with a salad, it's because we picked a restaurant that didn't have real burgers. You know? But there's a million options. You can go to a restaurant and get a grilled piece of chicken, or you can eat the fajitas without the tortilla.
Yeah.
And if they have tortillas, ask them if they have corn tortillas. There's a million different options that you have for all of these things. And set yourself up to succeed. You use a food tracker. I use MyFitnessPal. I haven't used Noom yet, but I know a lot of people that do. And Noom is fantastic because it's more psychology based than shame based, or, scoring that you can or can't, like Weight Watchers. You can't eat this, can't eat that. I also found an app that's not really a tracker, but if you look it up, it's called Mealtime. And my neighbor turned me onto this. So you pick recipes. So you go through the app and fajitas look good and grilled chicken looks good and this new spaghetti thingamajigger blah, blah, blah looks good. And it pulls up and it gives you the recipe. It loads all of the ingredients into your list and it creates a grocery shopping list.
Huh.
So you check off and be like, nope, I have chicken in my fridge. I don't need that. I have tomatoes. I don't need that. I got mustard. I don't need that. And it lists the rest of the things you need and you can plan your meals for an entire week.
Yeah.
Absolutely fabulous. So you set yourself up to succeed when you use the right tools. Use a food scale and a good food scale to know your portions. Once you know your portions and you know what you're eating is when you can that's when it makes it easier to indulge. Because I know a portion size of ice cream. So if I want to have ice cream, I go have ice cream. And I know what's going to do to me. Versus not knowing what I ate all day and then having ice cream on top of all of the garbage that I ate that day. There's a huge difference. Huge difference. So it doesn't mean that you can't have tot chili.
Right.
All of it, other than and even the tater tots, other than the fact that they're heavy in sodium, they're minimally processed. It's potatoes and salt. So if you're not salt restricted like I am, and you make the chili from stuff that literally came from the farm, grass-fed beef, peppers, onions, tomatoes, all of it fresh from the farm, and the canned goods were still unsalted, high-quality product.
Yeah.
So and that's exactly like my friend said. I didn't feel like ass afterwards, and I ate, and he literally showed me a picture of it because where he was eating was a break room, so there was no bowls. So he just dumped the chili on a paper plate with an edge. So it was like this big giant saucer of chili. Why not? Be like, yeah, it was probably 4 servings of chili. He felt just fine afterwards eating it because it's all real food.
So, yeah. So there you go. We're at 2 minutes already.
Can I just say I hate paper straws? That is the dumbest idea I've ever had.
Yeah, paper straws are stupid.
It keeps sticking to my lip. That's ridiculous.
I agree.
So please follow us on YouTube. We both have a YouTube channel, 216 The Net and My LoSo Lifestyle. YouTube, the more subscribers we have, the more more luxuries that we have, and the more things that we can do. So as a radio station, when you have enough followers on YouTube, all of the other shows, including mine, get a little bit more out there, a little bit more seen, a little bit more followers, and a little bit more options for advertising and things of that nature. So my plea is please subscribe to My LoSo Lifestyle YouTube page, 216 The Net YouTube page. We both have websites, Facebook pages. I'm also on Podbean now. So if you want to look up My LoSo Lifestyle on Podbean. And you can also email me with any questions at mary@mylosylifestyle.com.
There you go.
I finally got an email. How about, well, I've had an email.
You've had an email. You just know how it works now.
I just finally figured out what my email was and how to properly configure my server. So see you guys next week.